What's the point of riding a motorcycle? Excitement, save gas, ride with friends, look cool? Well, the reason is important because it carries over into today's topic, why people quit riding a motorcycle. Today I'm going to discuss why people quit riding and why I almost quit too. Not only that, but I need to wash my bike. So come on, let's go.
Mike and Ty on these bikes, living life to the fullest. Second chance at it, they record, you can look it. Every place they at on these open roads. Each restaurant, they might hunt the ghosts. Allow me to welcome you or welcome you back. Mike and Ty on the channel, never know where they at. So lock in, they gon' make it exciting. Get lost in the videos and don't forget to like them,
I've had my Indian Chieftain for almost 2 years, and before that I had a Suzuki Boulevard C50 that I rode for about 15 years. I've always been a cruiser guy, although I have dabbled with a sport bike and then a Honda Grom as well. I follow another motovlog channel, and she did an episode on why people quit riding. It was a pretty good video, but the sum of it was she's a female and she's smaller and she had a bad experience on a certain kind of bike. And so she surmises that people quit riding because they're not comfortable on the bike they buy. While it might be a valid point, it clearly doesn't capture 80% of the people out there. I think the reason most people stop riding is a little bit different than what she suggested, and I wanted to clear the record. I don't think her summary captures the large percentage of riders. So why do most people start riding a motorcycle? I think most people start, or at least continue, for the thrill or the passion of the riding. If you end up enjoying riding a motorcycle, you typically tell everybody about it. Hey, you should buy a bike, you should buy a bike. You try to tell your friends, your family, anybody, because you enjoy it and you're passionate, but also the need for companionship eventually seeks in. You want other people to ride, so they'll ride with you. It becomes human connection. What was once good enough by yourself now requires another person. Let that sink in for a minute. One of the perks of riding a motorcycle is the community. Bikers wave at one another. They'll randomly come up to you and talk to you at gas stations or whenever you stop your bike. When you buy a motorcycle, you inadvertently join a social club. But for some people, it can get lonely if you're not riding for your own reasons. After 6 years of riding a motorcycle, I moved to a new state. I didn't know anybody here. I didn't know any of the roads or where to go. And I almost quit riding. I started looking at selling my bike because I was lonely. I didn't have anybody to ride with. I didn't have any friends here. I figured I could just find a hobby that involved me sitting at home, playing computer games or whatever the case may be. Josie Lane. We're gonna have to go past that. I missed my exit. Eventually I fell back into the routines of life and I just stopped riding, or I rode less and less and less. Right before I sold my bike, I ended up meeting some people here that rode, and they started showing me places to go. I started venturing out and realizing that I actually missed it. But the things I missed weren't necessarily just the human connection, which would have been my motivation for selling the bike. While I enjoyed riding with my friends, I realized that it wasn't the human connection that was solely keeping me riding, and I had forgotten that, or at least lost my way. The reason I like riding, as in right now, I like the freedom, the thrill of riding, and how it's just clears your head. It's like therapeutic. You can ride around and just listen to the motor or the wind. Most bikes you just listen to the wind. My bike's really loud. But you don't have to think about much. You can just relax. So I overcame my hurdle of feeling like I was riding for my community or the community. And more so, the bigger obstacle that I overcame was just reprioritizing why I rode a motorcycle to begin with. I asked my Facebook group, the North Texas Weekday Riders, if they had ever given up or almost given up riding a motorcycle, and if so, what were their reasons? Some people said it's because of the weather. It gets too hot or too cold, and it's just not worth it. A majority of people said they quit riding because they either had a new relationship, or they had kids, or some person was added to their life that changed whether or not they wanted to ride anymore. Some people quit riding because they were injured. As you get older, you can't hold the bike up, you have bad knees, your back goes out, etc. I get it. And some people said they quit riding because it got more dangerous. There's more cars on the road, or people seem to be driving worse or whatever. And I get that. But no matter what the reason for stopping riding is, if you reapply the filter that I said earlier in why are you riding, why did you start riding a motorcycle, period, I think a lot of people have lost that priority. You might start riding a motorcycle, for example, to save gas. But then you stop because you have a kid. Do you no longer want to save gas now that you have a kid? Clearly a child is a priority, and they do it for the right reasons. They want to have a father or a mother or whatever. I get that. But my point is still valid in that whatever you started for, that doesn't seem to be the reason people are stopping. They're stopping for other reasons. It's a good thing I don't know where I'm going because I'm just riding. Speaking of quitting because it's more dangerous, I have friends that have gotten in accidents and given up riding completely. And I get it, I'm not judging. It's a traumatic situation and they're lucky to walk away from it or be alive afterwards. But again, if you apply the filter, why were they riding to begin with? And why don't they want to continue riding for that same reason? To drive home this point, here's Ty to discuss his situation. He also had a traumatic incident, and here's how he dealt with it.
So I crashed my bike. Some of my friends have stopped riding because they too have fallen off their bike, and eventually they quit. But let me tell you a story about what happened. 3 years ago, when I just got my first bike, I learned how to ride for about a month, 2 months or so, and decided to ride with Mike and Randy to Oklahoma, trying to go on a cruise. It was kind of nice, and the place we're going to was Talamina Scenic Bypass or Parkway. I forgot. Anyways, we rode there, had breakfast, and went down the mountain. It was curvy, it was a lot of downhill, and I was doing perfectly fine until Mike told me, try not to use your brakes so much. And I'm like, okay, I am a newbie, or I'm a new rider, and I was using my brakes because I didn't want to go too fast, especially going downhill to a curve. But he told me, you're doing fine, so try not to use your brakes so much. And so I listen, and as I'm going down this pass, I see it's about 25 mile an hour with an S curve, and so I did not learn how to use my clutch to slow the bike down as much as I do now. So entering that turn, I was going too fast, and I straightened myself up and hit the grass. And when I hit the grass, the front wheel turned and it bucked me off. Mike was behind me. He was recording me doing this and screaming, no, no, no. Of course, it was too late at that time. Luckily, I was unscathed, well, for a few bruises and a strained wrist, but the bike had a bent handlebar, and we got it back up. We were able to start the bike, and the distance from that point back home was about 5 hours. I'm bruised, I'm hurt, my bike's handlebar was messed up. Anyways, I rode back home, fixed it all up, and continue to ride, because that wasn't gonna stop me. And now I'm actually a pretty good rider. Charlotte, say hello.
Hi.
That's my daughter. Don't let falling off the bike or crashing stop you from riding. I will continue to ride until physically I can't ride no more.
Hey, here's a car wash. That's what I was looking for. Heyo! And they're all full. Yep, that's cool. I guess what I'm saying is, if you like riding, do it. But do it for you. Do it for you and enjoy the other things that come along with it. If you like true crime or want to see me climb a tree, make sure to watch this video. Otherwise, if you found this video interesting or helpful, please consider subscribing. Thank you. Nope, not thank you. Why would I say thank you? Anyway, good times.